for a discussion about what we're going to be doing with lead and coal. This is the culmination of about an 8-year process of us studying the road, figuring out what we want to do and how we want to do it. Let's wait for some cars to pass. And what'd you say you need? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Dan Mayfield, Public Information Officer for the Department of Municipal Development and or Press Secretary. Either title is fine. But first things first this morning, I want to introduce Pat Montoya over here. And he's a senior advisor to the mayor, and he's been involved in this project for a long time as the former director of DMD, and he can give us some perspective on everything we're doing here.
Thank you, Dan. Well, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. Mayor apologizes for not being able to join us this morning. He had another event that he needed to attend. So I have some prepared remarks that I'd like to go ahead and read, and I'll start with that. Lead and coal are important corridors that connect the neighborhood. Most of us drive this street almost daily, and it brings a lot of commuters from all over the city going into the downtown area. Our goal has always been to keep traffic moving. When lead and coal was 3 lanes at one point, and then it was narrowed down to 2 lanes, and then there was discussions about 1 lane. We've always looked to see what is in the best interest of the commuters, not only those that live in the area because they have to live with the amount of traffic that is on this road, as you can see, but also those people that live in the far northeast heights or on the southeast heights that have to commute to the downtown area on a daily basis. So we try to take all of that into consideration when we're making these changes and looking at the designs that were presented last night. We understand that there have been several crashes. I've been with the mayor since 2018. Lead coal was one of the major projects that I had to address almost immediately because of the number of crashes that were occurring. We've narrowed that down and we've lowered those numbers. Jennifer Turner will talk about that in a few minutes, but that has always been a goal to look at all of the safety issues that we can impose on these streets to make it safer, not only for the residents that live on the street, the children that use this street, the park behind us. You know, we just try to protect everyone so that we make sure people are safe when they are commuting. We do know that speeds are dropping, and we'll talk a little bit about those enhancements that have been imposed over the last year or so. We do know that there are fewer crashes, and if any of you were at the charrette last night at the design team meeting, one of our engineers, Mr. Brown, talked about that. Fewer red light runners, that's an important part because that is one of the biggest contributing factors to accidents throughout the city, people that run red lights. And unfortunately, you know, Albuquerque drivers are noted for doing that. So we've seen a decline in the number of people that run those lights only because of the safety measures that we've imposed. And again, Director Turner will talk about those, but rest in red and the speed limit at a certain level all the way from Washington down into the university. And of course, the mayor and his team have started listening to the community. I think we've been listening for at least 7 years now. I was chair of a committee that met with several of the residents on a bi-weekly basis to start looking at how we improve these roads. We were able to implement a lot of those changes early on, and we will continue to implement the changes based on what we heard last night. And again, I just want to emphasize, these streets are used by everyone within the city, so we have to keep that in mind that as you commute on a daily basis to and from work, to and from church, to and from a family event, that this is one of the main corridors that we actually use. And other than that, I think the most important part is just expanding the safety features that we have now. So the rest in red and the 30 miles per hour speed limit, those have made big differences in how traffic flows and how we keep the streets safe. So with that, Dan, I'll turn it back over to you, and we'll go from there.
All right, thank you, Pat. And I want to bring up Jennifer Turner, who's the director of the Department of Municipal Development. And she's going to talk a little bit more about exactly what we're going to be doing here on lead and coal.
Thank you, Dan. Again, I'm Jennifer Turner. I'm the director of the City of Albuquerque Department of Municipal Development, or DMD. In the Department of Municipal Development, it is our job to do everything we can to engineer and build our roads to be safer for all users. And so as part of that, I'm going to touch on what we've done and what we'll be doing in the lead and coal corridors. So we recently completed a survey of the community, as well as doing a deep dive into all the data related to all the improvements that we have been making and will be making on the corridor. And so just to touch on both of those, the survey, which went out to over 6,000 people, the responses that we got overwhelmingly supported keeping lead and coal the same, but adding some technology, landscaping, and striping to the corridor. And so we combined the results of the survey with the data, which I'm going to talk about a little bit. And so we initially installed what we call Rest on Red technology on this corridor in April of 2023, and at 6 key intersections at Lead and Coal, at Carlisle, Yale, and Girard. We installed Rest on Red technology, which at our traffic signals means that our traffic signals are held in a red position unless the cars coming at them are going the speed limit. So basically it forces drivers to obey the speed limit, and we've heard for years that residents are concerned about speeding on this corridor. So we installed this at 6 intersections in April 2023. And we've received the data on how that's worked, and so I'm gonna be a data nerd for a second to touch on that. So in 2018, our crash rates on lead and coal were about 50% higher than on similar roads, which we consider to be Washington and San Pedro. And then leading up to 2023, we still saw a high volume of crashes. Since we put in the Rest on Red technology in 2023, the data now show that lead and coal are now as significant, the crashes on lead and coal are actually better than on Washington and San Pedro and are safer. And so with those changes in signal technology, we've actually seen an overall reduction in crashes and also a reduction in speeding at those 3 intersections. And so following that data and listening to the results of the survey, we're actually over the next year going to be installing that technology at additional intersections along the corridor. And we'll be starting with Stanford and Columbia, Wellesley and Bryn Mawr, and then moving on to Montclair and Morningside. Our data has also showed us that we can make some striping improvements along the corridor to reduce crashes, and we've particularly seen in this corridor kind of a unique type of crash where people in the right-hand lane are turning left across cars in the left lane and causing crashes. And so we'll be adding striping and signage improvements to better advise drivers about how to not do those crashes and to follow the rules of the road. And so we're also working in addition to the signal technology on the new striping and signage. We expect with this additional technology, as well as the striping and signage, that we'll see further reductions in crashes and speeding. We heard the neighborhood loud and clear that they want more beautification along the corridor. And so we're going to be installing more trees and landscape boulders along the corridor to reduce risks to adjacent homes and pedestrians. And then I also wanted to add, we've recently added an automated speed enforcement camera, which all around the city are showing to significantly reduce speeding. We've recently added it at lead at around Wellesley and Bryn Mawr. So that's a further way that we can reduce speeding on the corridor. So in short, lead and coal is proving to be a model corridor for how to use data and community input and technology to implement measurable safety improvements. Thank you.
And we just want to thank our friends from APD for joining us. This is Commander Del Greco. I don't think he has anything to say this morning, but he's definitely here to show support and APD support for everything we're doing out here, because all the reducing crashes here helps reduce their load on their work, I think. I was going to go over the survey, but Jennifer handled all that great. So we did a survey, though, of the neighborhood and also commuters who use lead and coal. Overwhelmingly, people said they didn't want the streets to change, but they loved the idea of us adding new technology and landscaping here. And along with that technology and landscape, we're going to be adding striping to keep cars in their lane, boulders along the road to keep cars basically on the road, a new speed camera, and a handful of other little things that should improve safety all along the corridor. And we're all going to be here for a few minutes if you guys have questions or one-offs that you want to do, unless you have any questions right now about what we're doing here on lead and coal. Alexandra?
One question. How much is the city investing in the striping and the enforcement of the technology for this upcoming
Do you
year?
know the exact number? It's a little under $1 million. And we do have we've done traffic studies, surveys, and just in the last 2 years, we've had 4 public meetings to talk to the neighborhood and all the associations about what we're doing here to reduce crashes. Great. Awesome. Thanks, guys. And we'll be here if you have any one-off questions for us.